one thing was for sure. They both believed Sparks to be a total tool.
Be an exciting contest which shows that divorced couples can still have fun together, right?
Mythological hero H-list. C. On the spot dice spin.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
As you all recall, last week we talked about ABC Show Me the Money and how awful that was. And for equal time now, we will talk about a crappy NBC show, which was equal parts Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, Deal or No Deal, Show Me the Money, and basically every single crappy primetime game show rolled into one. And yes, it is even further demolished by one of my favorite libertarians of all time, Penn Jillette.
Can you claim that a statue that leaks oil like an old Volkswagen or a dirty sheet with faint pictures on it proves the existence of God? Some can, and that sells tickets. The superstitious call that religious icons. We call it bullshit.
No bullshit, Penn. You helped ruin this terrible show and made it even more terrible. Well, now it's time to talk about Identity and all the reasons why it sucked. Trust me, it's not going to take that much digging to figure out why the show sucked.
Tonight on Identity, one daring contestant will push his luck to the breaking point.
I am a psychopath.
How you feeling?
Sick to my stomach.
As he attempts to identify 12 total strangers.
White House intern. Hey, old Mike Tyson. Music, video, dancer.
You are my mail order bride. He does look like a pickpocket.
And walk away with $500,000.
This is a coin toss, and you're risking $250,000.
Right? Yes!
This is the Identity game you don't want to miss.
Luck is on your side, my friend.
And it starts now.
This is unbelievable.
Is that your identity? Hello, welcome to Identity.
Identity was a show made for NBC in 2006, roughly around the same time Show Me the Money was given DOS boot from ABC. The show in question is an amalgamation of all things wrong with primetime game shows. It is overproduced, underdeveloped, and muddled to hell thanks to a show requiring 4 executive producers who could come up with a coherent format if they tried. We got Ben Silverman and Howard T. Owens from Reveille Productions. I never talked about these guys before, but they are one of the main causes as to why the 2008 incarnation of American Gladiator sucks so hard. By the way, for the astute out there, Ben is Fred Silverman's son, a man who hated game shows all of his life, and when he went to work at a network, he did his best to scuttle a lot of them off the air. While I give Ben credit for at least doing shows like this, that is immediately taken away from the fact he isn't good at them whatsoever. Then you got Andrew Golder as an executive producer, a guy who I find okay because he's created some shows that I liked. And then you got the Antichrist himself, Tim fucking Puntillo. Don't remember him? Well, you'll certainly remember this.
Ho, ho, ho! Join us now for the Who's Still Standing 4-night holiday event.
Yeah, I hate him, and it's not hard to see why. I never wished ill will on any producer before, not named Scott Sternberg. But if Tim Puntillo were not to have a career anymore after, say, today, I would be dancing on his metaphorical grave. Okay, now we'll talk about Penn Jillette.
Ever since I was in high school, I've had a pretty good eye for people. I consider myself a student of life, which is another way of saying I sucked at geometry. Tonight, there'll be no written exams. The only thing we'll be testing is the powers of observation.
Penn is an interesting beast to talk about as a game show host. While he's a generally good guy in person, as a game show host, he's basically about as fake as those that he's debunked on bullshit. He would overemphasize the catchphrase of, "Is that your identity?" the further the game got to the point of it needing 2 commercial breaks to get through, or a full episode of bullshit. Also on the flip side, he was overly anxious in helping out early in the game. Basically either coaching the contestant to a right answer or flat out giving away the right answers early on. It's irritating to the point where I just wanted Teller to host a show once so I could regain some sanity. I don't know if it was all Penn or if he was coached by Puntillo to do this, but it is still one of the worst hosting jobs I have seen in the past 10 years. While I got on Shatner for not caring, Penn got way too involved in the proceedings to make me want to be rid of him. And to be honest, I really don't know why all the producers decided to do this after 2005 when it came to primetime game shows. going star power over actual hosting competence. I mean, it worked for Howie Mandel, who's got the chops. It really worked for Bob Saget, and it also really worked for Jeff Foxworthy. But it absolutely didn't work for people like Hulk Hogan, Guy Fieri, Richard Quest, and countless others over the time period. I could go on for days, but let's just get to the format and how it's even worse than Penn. Next up is the set itself, and it's your basic NBC game show set. Bright, but still very cold. Looks like they ripped the staircase from Deal or No Deal and put 12 cylindrical platforms on it. Then you have the requisite big locking button that looked like a smaller version of the 12 cylindrical platforms. It's like they took scraps used from Deal or No Deal in 1 vs. 100 and failed pilots during this time. Look, I don't mind the set. It's that it's super generic. It gives off the feel that it's only there because it has to be there. And while we're on that subject, the gameplay itself could be described as just there. One contestant with the NBC primetime game show requisite sob story has to identify what 12 complete strangers do for a living or what special feat they have done. They run the gamut from being a pickpocket to winning Olympic gold, or being a WWE pro wrestler, or being a reality TV star, or in the case of Miz, the last two together. Basically what they did is take the Who's Who minigame from What's My Line and blew it up into a 60-minute primetime game show. For each one they got right, they got a requisite amount of money on the Millionaire-esque money ladder. No, wait, scratch that. It's the Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader money ladder, just with the max budget cut in half. And just like Millionaire and Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, you had 3 lifelines and or helps. Those are Mistaken Identity, which is basically the equivalent of 5th graders save, but without the benefit of going up the money ladder. Then you have Tri-Identity, where you pick one profession and the computer selects the right stranger and 2 random wrong strangers a la 50-50. And finally, you can ask a panel of body language experts about one person. They will more or less help you figure out what they do, a la Ask the Experts from Super Millionaire. The lifelines feel tacked on, and the whole gigantic money ladder felt tacked on too because it was primetime, and that meant
Big money! Big prizes! I love it!
it's a simple and interesting concept, but the whole thing was handled so ham-fistedly that it didn't feel right. The reason being, and the biggest sin of it all, was that the whole show felt like it was over-dramatized, overproduced, and fake beyond belief. The whole thing felt so scripted. Everything from Penn's cajoling to the statements given by the strangers after they were correctly guessed, and the picking of the contestants with the sob stories and the overly happy sideline cheerleaders that brought with them to the show, giving them encouragement, and sometimes telling the contestant who to pick and what identity they have become because they saw them on TV. Not only that, the show was stretched and edited all hell. The first 10 minutes are fine, but then it becomes so unbearable with the drawn-out reveals and going to commercial breaks in between Penn starting to reveal, and then tossing it to commercial breaks so awkwardly that it's unbelievable to the point where in one episode, a contestant locked in her answer to the $500,000 identity, took a commercial break. Penn then had to talk about it with the contestant, take another commercial break, and then reveal that she won the $500,000, all because she played the game so fast that the fucking nitwit Tim Putillo couldn't catch up.
I would like to solve the prison guard.
Prison guard?
Okay, I'm gonna lock in my answer. I'm gonna lock in that 11 is the prison.
You're gonna risk $250,000 on being able to tell who the prison guard is? That's what you're gonna do?
Penn.
Do you understand this?
Penn.
You're not just going crazy, you understand?
Oh, I didn't say that, but I'm gonna lock it in. I'm gonna lock it in. Lock it in.
You sure? Okay.
Number 11! You are my prison guard and I lock it in!
Here it comes. Ready, Christina? Here's these 4 magic words. We'll be right back. Number 11, former prison guard for $500,000 or nothing. Is that your identity?
could go on forever about how awful the show is and what went wrong with it, but I'll just sum it up in one word. This show was, without a doubt, bullshit! Identity does all the things that make NBC's primetime game shows after 1 vs. 100 so unbearable to sit through. All the false reveals, the cold sets, overscripting everything to the point of nausea, a terrible hosting job, the sob stories, and everything that we got away from in the 1950s brought back to make us wish that we were watching I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, or For Love of Money, rather than this pile of bullshit. Look, I love Penn Jillette. I loved him on Fool Us. I loved him on Bullshit. I love him when he's on Red Eye. But as a game show host, he is awful, and Identity is beyond awful. Next time out, we talked about an ABC bomb and an NBC bomb. How about a CBS bomb that is the spiritual successor of a show that I inducted 5 years ago to this date? Bye-bye!